Hey, I watched a video recently where there was where the guy said actually, the number of languages or frameworks you want to use in your team, you want to keep that to a necessary minimum, right? And I think his example was in that YouTube video that I think a company like Google that has thousands of employees, at least at the time the video was made, they averaged about they averaged about a single language or framework for every 4,000 employees, right? That's an interesting piece of information. I'm sure those numbers have changed and they continually change, but I figured I'll share my 2 cents on that. As a company, Snowpal, our product, again, if you haven't signed up, check us out on the web at snowpal.com and download the web and the mobile apps on the Play and Android, on the App Store and Play Store, and then manage your projects better, right? So that's our product is a SaaS project management platform. We went live about a year ago, right, give or take, and a mobile app's been there coming up a year. We're going to have a first year anniversary very soon. I am generally a proponent of finding the right tool for the job. So we have a lot of different languages and frameworks and libraries in the mix as that makes up the Snowpal ecosystem. That's my natural inclination, that's my preference, and I generally lean in that direction for the most part. There are pros and cons, obviously. The pros being you try to find the best tool for the job. You don't limit yourself to what you've done in the past, which is very important, right? That's one of the main positives. There's more. We like to keep our pieces pretty small. Even before the more common use of the term microservices, a good engineer always, or a good architect would have built their applications and solutions in a more microservices-ish manner. I know these terms come into play, into existence all the time, they change, but if you did it right, for the most part, you would have done it the same way even years ago. So we have our pieces broken down to a manageable extent. And again, as we grow, we're going to have more pieces to the puzzle, more services, more functionality, and then we're going to have all of them will live in our ecosystem. Now, the thing is, we are not going to restrict that every one of those new services actually gets built using the languages and frameworks that we've used in the past. That's literally the way I think. But with that said, it's also tricky because when I try to find help and I want people to help me out with certain aspects of the problem, be it on the API or the UI side, be it the mobile app, be it the web app, be it an integration, be it a messaging platform, messaging aspect of what we do, the asynchronous side of things, or a conversations feature. Each one is done slightly differently using a different tool or framework than the other, for the most part at least. Now it makes it very difficult to find people to help you because you now expect you want folks to be polyglot and full stack, but that's easier said than done. I don't think there's an agreement on what polyglot may or may not necessarily mean, or even full stack means. Just because you write UI code, middleware, and backend code, I don't know if it might make you a full stack developer. There's a bit more to it, right? Yeah, on paper maybe you are, but it's hard to justify or argue that you're truly a full stack developer if you just contributed to those aspects of the platform or your application, but you only did so much in each of those tiers. I'll do a separate video talking about what my thoughts are on that. But I feel like that those terms are used pretty loosely, full stack and polyglot. So it's certainly difficult to find people, right? And these things change all the time. Let's say you have good JavaScript developers, that's great. You can switch frameworks, like technically you could go from say React, from Backbone to React and to something else. But each of these frameworks bring something new, and they bring their own set of nuances to the table. So just knowing the language is sometimes, or most of the time, not necessarily good enough. Again, good engineers will pick it up in due course of time. There's no doubt about that. But they may want to, they may not want to. Their interest could be different. So it does get tricky from a resource and a staffing standpoint. I'm not a recruiter. I know very little about that. But as a developer, as an architect, as somebody who runs my company, I know it's difficult to find good people, especially when you need them to solve certain difficult problems. So you want to keep that in mind. I'm not saying that you don't want to, that you shouldn't pick the right tool for the job. Never a good answer. But you want to be careful. You want to make sure that list is manageable and is justifiable. You don't want to pick something else just for the sake of picking something else. If I wore the developer hat, and I do have a hat actually, a literal one, I would sometimes want to do that. But from a standpoint of a company, for Snowpal, I would never recommend that, or for anybody else either. because that's going to be expensive. Sure, you want to do something, check it out on the weekend, clone some repos, build something new, have fun, right? I mean, more power to you. But if that needs to make its way into your actual production systems, you need to ask yourselves a number of questions, right? So, I mean, that's my 2 cents. It's good to pick the right tool for the job, but it's also very important to be cognizant of the fact that these technologies are going to continually evolve and change quite a bit, and finding and keeping people is going to be quite challenging. I mean, of course, if you have tons of money, if you're a big company, you got all this branding, maybe I'm sure it's easier because people are probably not wanting to quit or move on all the time. But if you have a curious mind, you are going to want to do something different, right? I mean, that's quite natural. So keep that in mind. Hopefully this makes sense, and hopefully you are having a good weekend as well. I mean, we've had some good, beautiful days. Today it's drizzling, as you can see, but it's just green and beautiful. I mean, Virginia is absolutely green and beautiful. If you're ever in the States or you live here, do not forget to check out our beautiful state. Thank you.